So we have largely two groups of women that are tuning in today. One is working women that are earning their own money.
Yeah.
And the other is homemakers that are probably have an influx of money coming in from family, but are still managing that money.
Sure.
But if we had to look at both the groups largely, and I'm not sure if there's a difference, but how would you advise that they would save, invest, and spend? What would the
Great.
planning look like?
Great question, Masoom. I think first of all, every woman who sets out on this journey, there are some who are already doing it. And there are some who've actually never started, especially your first set of audience. When you're 25, you're really not thinking of investing. You're thinking of the today and now. And investing is really not about scrimping on the today, right? So I think every woman needs to tell herself that I can do this. I've got the right aptitude to do it, right? Because the way we think about money is very, very, it's absolutely the right behavior. I hear a lot of women who come to me and say, I'm not good with money. And I'm like, you can't be saying that because you're managing your household budgets. You've done all of that. So you definitely cannot say you're not good with money. That's the first thing we need to stop saying. Women actually are far better with money than men are. And this is not a men versus women conversation, but even then removing that myth. So actually the basic principles are the same for everybody. The way you begin, and this is going to be very contrary to what a lot of, what you may have heard, right? That you begin by looking at financial goals. Yes, you do. But the first thing that you need to do, and look at it as I call it the Financial Actualization Pyramid. Just like we have, a self-actualization pyramid. So the base of that has to be all your safety nets.
Okay.
Which means that you've created an emergency fund. You've taken your right insurances so that tomorrow anything happens. You're good, right? It's that safety net that you build that allows you to sleep peacefully, right? And the way I always say is, first monies that you get, you save. Use it to buy your health insurance.
So what all comes under the safety net?
Yeah. So it's essentially it is, if something were to happen tomorrow, can I take care of my lifestyle expenses, right? So it's essentially creating a corpus, which we call the emergency fund, which could be anywhere between 8 months to a year to 2 years. I think the wealthier you grow, the higher should be your safety net, right? So 8 months to about 2 years of your living expenses. You need to create that corpus, and then you need to have insurance. Primarily health insurance, because if tomorrow something happens, right? And today healthcare costs are, they're driving up like crazy. An average cost of hospitalization in Mumbai for say 4 days or 5 days can be anywhere up to 2 lakhs, right? And if you have a surgery or any other, heart ailment or anything, it could go into many, many lakhs, right? So you want to make sure if that happens, one, the corpus that you've put aside takes care of your expenses, and the insurance takes care of the fact that you don't have to dip into your savings or investments to pay for your hospital bills.
Absolutely.
Right? So this allows you to just sleep peacefully, say, okay, I've got it all in control. That should be the base that you build on. Then you look at your financial goals, right? If you're 20, for example, 25, you'd say your goal could be to study further. It could be to upskill, get married. All of us want sabyasachi lehengas and, the works when we get married. Or it could be in your 30s, you have a child. So look at your child's education goals, etc. So whatever are your financial goals, put them down and start putting money towards that, right? So that's the next pyramid that you want to take care of. And then the third, the tip of that pyramid is when you go and do all that you think is investment, but is actually luxury, which is handbags, which is diamonds, which is, all the things that we spend.
Travel.
Art, travel, all of it, right? Now, what we do wrong is actually the minute we start earning, we start at the tip of that pyramid. And we say, okay, let me buy this handbag, let me buy this, whatever, right?
So true.
And it is about living in the today. So while you do that, you have to make sure first of all, never do that before building your safety net. And then try and put in your financial goals first. And then look at everything else, right? So that actualization pyramid stands true for, young women who've not started investing in the age group of 25 to 35, or women who come from, privileged backgrounds. They have family wealth that they are managing. Even they need to ensure that all the family's financial goals are taken care of. The safety nets are there. For that set of audience, among safety nets is also creation of trusts and wills for your children or for yourself. They're a very, very important tool to help you, one, ensure that the wealth that you have created and you continue to create is ring-fenced when something unforeseen happens. And second, that it is transmission, right? Maybe at some point you give it to your children, or a husband gives it to the wife, or in the event of anything, a death, etc. All of that is transmissioned properly. So that wills and trust are also an important part of especially, women who are managing family wealth or come from families that have great wealth.
Who do you go to create a will or a trust?
So you would have a wealth advisor who would ideally be able to do it for you. Or you would have lawyers who will create.
But there's a lot of financial decisions, especially in today's society, that are taken independently.
Right.
Like you can invest through apps, you can, you're saving in an FD in a bank account. So wealth advisors, I do think, is more for the creme of society, and it's a minority.
Absolutely.
So where would these people go who, are even managing their own investments? Where would they go to create their wills or trusts?
So look, wills, I think everybody should have. Every person at whatever age, the minute you're above 18, you should have a will, because you may have certain wealth yourself. You may be inheriting certain wealth that you don't know about. So create a will. Now, today there are a lot of platforms that will help you create, but I usually recommend that you use a lawyer to help you create a will, because a will is a very complicated, and it gets more complicated as you grow older, right? And then you may want to look back. Say I've created something at 30, at 35, I may want to go back and change stuff because a lot of the dynamics have changed, right? And trusts are typically, actually, they are great tools for, people who have already created wealth, because it's more about transmission of that wealth. And they would typically need an advisor. See, I always say an advisor because an advisor really understands your family dynamics also, right? And it's very important to understand that. So whoever's managing your wealth, if they can do the trust, it's great. If not, again, you use a lawyer. Okay. I think for wills, there are a lot of online platforms, just like you
really?
have. Yeah. You'll have online platforms where you can go and say, okay, create my will. There will be a few questions that will be asked. But even before wills, I tell everybody that have all your investments, have your nominations right in it. A lot of people invest but don't have any nominees in the investment. So make sure that you put a nomination. And once you've created significant amount of investments, etc., then create a will for yourself. Yeah.
So we spoke about the pyramid, which is exactly how it needs to be planned. Where is the best place, right? When we're talking about the bottom of the pyramid, where is the best place to create your emergency fund? Is it in cash in your cupboard? Is it in the bank account, in your current account, savings account?
Yeah. So what does an emergency fund mean? It means tomorrow if something happens, I need the money immediately.
Yeah.
Right. So it should be, Masoom, I say this all the time, that actually if you think about this and you take out that whole thought process that I need and an expert to guide me in this, even if you just apply your common sense, you'll know, okay, this is my emergency fund. I may need it whenever. So where should I keep it, right? Typically, some amount of it in your savings bank account. Again, it's personal finance, right? What works for me may not work for you. You may be somebody who is very comfortable with money, everything in savings bank account, because you feel, it's at the bank, it's all right, right? I may feel, okay, 10% of it I'll put it in the bank account, and maybe some of it I'll put in what we call debt funds or liquid funds.
And what is tell us about that. How do you feel?
So I would put 10% in a savings bank account. I'd put the rest across liquid funds. And today you have arbitrage funds, which are, so essentially where your money is capital protected. That means it's not going through the ups and it's not market linked. It's giving you a fixed return is where I would put. And ideally it should give you more than your savings bank account. Ideally even more than your fixed deposit. So anywhere between 6 to 7%, because an emergency fund you've created, you may never use it. You know, if you're fortunate enough, you may never need to access it, but it should still keep growing, right? Remember, it still has to grow as close to inflation. This may not beat your inflation, but this definitely has to grow as close to inflation as possible. And today liquid funds, debt funds will give you anywhere between 6 to 7% return.
And what is the return that fixed deposit will give you versus a savings account will give you?
So fixed deposit, we're actually also heading towards a low interest regime. So fixed deposits today would give averagely anywhere around 6%, 5.5%, 6%. And over a period of time, as interest rates come down, it'll only go lower. Savings bank accounts give you 2 or 3% only. But the truth is, when I ask a lot of people that, you know, where have you put your money? And they'll say fixed deposit. That's where I put my money. Okay, what is the return you're getting there? I don't know about the return. I've just kept it because it's locked away. Right? So a lot of us don't even ask what is the return we're generating. A bank for us is a safe place. Because we don't know about other products, we feel, okay, that's where my money is. But really understanding this in context of inflation or mehengai is very important.
Yes.
That if all my money is in the bank account between fixed deposit and savings account, then I'm not beating inflation. That means, and a lot of women say, I don't want to take risk with my money. But if you've kept all your money in bank accounts, you've taken a known risk because your money is anyways losing its value. So it's important to understand that also, that there is risk in everything, but how do you calibrate? How do you look at that risk in your context and your needs?
Where would you put gold in the pyramid?
Well, very interesting question. See, also when I talk about safety nets, like I said, the money there should make you feel comfortable when you sleep, right? A good night's sleep. Okay, I know where my money is. I would put gold also in the safety nets. For some people, again, it's very personalized. I'm not somebody who would put money in gold.
Why?
Right? Because I feel most of my money will give me better return over a long-term period. Right? Most of us mistake gold as, I mean, let's go back to what our dadis did. Right? For them, there was no other asset class, nowhere else to put money except gold and real estate. And that's become a muscle memory. We feel, okay, that's where I should be putting my money, real estate or gold. Right? And gold, because that was the most liquid asset then. So if you bought gold, you knew that, okay, if I need something, I can sell it tomorrow. Right? But over the last 30 years, the gold prices have become very volatile. So we've seen the run up in gold over the last 2 years. You know, and I used to do commodity futures about 20 years back, and we were tracking gold prices. And gold prices would move a rupee or 2 rupees over a week. Right? And today they move like hundreds of rupees every day. So they're still volatile. So gold has to be a long term. You have to think of it that, okay, if I buy it, I have to just keep it. It's because, or if I go to sell it, the prices may fall. I may not, suppose I've put 20,000 or 20 lakhs. Tomorrow it may go to like 19 lakhs. So to make it, the reason I still put it in the safety net is because when you have put money into any other asset class, equities or shares, stock market, anywhere, debt markets, and something like a COVID happens, something like the Russia-Ukraine war happens, something like, you know, any geopolitical issue, right?
Yes.
That one asset class that creates that buffer is gold. So stock prices may tank, and we saw this in COVID, right? Stock prices tanked, stock markets tanked because of a fear, but gold rose. So it's just that buffer that you create in times that there is geopolitical issues, or there's some epidemic or something that the world has not seen or foreseen, right? Then it's gold, because that attracts all the money. So just have 5 to 10% of your money